I'm Batman! Hi everyone, it's me! And today, let's cure a deadly disease together! Yeah!
What really bothers me the most about the Batman villain, Mr. Freeze? Before he went all Sub-Zero, he was a doctor named Victor Freeze. So why on earth would he choose the name Mr. Freeze? One, you're not really hiding your identity all that well by changing the spelling of your last name, and
You can't see me!
two, why did you go down in title from doctor to Mr.? At least take credit for all that dissertation research you did.
True.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory.
Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory! Hi! A doctor!
Where what's cooler than being cool? Science. I also would have accepted ice cold. Now, true loyal theorists will remember that last year I was invited by Bill and Melinda Gates to make a video inspired by their annual letter, a yearly tradition of theirs meant to outline an underrepresented global crisis that needs to be addressed.
Especially right now is global pandemic, global warming, global poverty, global starvation, global a lot of things.
Their letter's job is to broaden awareness of the problem and call all of us to do our part in making the world a better, healthier place for everyone. Last year it was a letter about superpowers for good, so I talked about Deadpool, obviously. This year's letter is focused on providing solutions for global health issues related to women and children, and so I wanted to theme my video around Batman. Seriously. Now that might seem like an odd logical leap, but hear me out here. First, the people who are on the front lines doing work in fields like scientific research, funding, and on-the-ground treatment are the closest things this world has to superheroes.
I agree with you. It's like they're really superheroes. They're saving life, making the world a better place for everyone.
Literally going out to save lives every day, just like Batman. And it's worth noting that these people aren't even billionaire playboys. Except, I guess, for Bill Gates himself. He probably qualifies. Just like Batman, these people are making a difference. Since 1990, the lives of 122 million children have been saved by the efforts of these everyday heroes. And it's not just for children either. Since 2010, HIV infections are down by 5%. Back then, only 7.5 million people were getting treated. Now it's over 17 million. Deaths from malaria are down a whopping 29% in that same amount of time. The work of these real-life superheroes is making a difference, and our support in whatever way, from monetarily to donating our time to just spreading awareness, is taking down diseases and quite literally changing lives and making the world a better place.
True, make the world a better place. For you and for me and the entire human race. Yeah.
But seriously, what does any of this have to do with Batman? Well, old Willie Gates has challenged me to make a video on the subject of finding treatments for some of the world's most aggressive and incurable diseases. Got me thinking about Mr. Freeze. Now, if there's one villain that needs to be rebooted, it's this guy. And no, I'm not just saying it because of Arnold Schwarzenegger's endless stream of terrible ice puns from Batman and Robin.
Cool party. All right, everyone. Chill. Always winterize your pipes.
Okay, well, so maybe a little bit because of that. But more so because Mr. Freeze is really an anti-hero. He's a scientist whose wife contracts a rare fatal disease called McGregor's syndrome, so he cryogenically freezes her to keep her from dying and will now do absolutely anything to find a cure.
Alright, so you mentioned McGregor syndrome. What's that? Is that a huge plot point in the video?
Gotta be honest, I feel for the guy. So today, let's help him out and get to the bottom of the McGregor syndrome mystery. It isn't a real disease, but can we find a real-world version of McGregor's syndrome to see if this mad scientist's plans will work, or if the chances of saving his wife are an absolute zero? I can make cold puns too, Arnie.
Very nice.
But alas, just because I can doesn't mean that I should. So, to start, what does the Batman...
So not sure if you know, right? Absolute zero is actually the coldest that you can get. Like literally the molecules, the atoms.
Universe tell us and show us about McGregor's syndrome. The first time it's alluded to is in an episode of Batman the Animated Series from 1992 with that epic music and incredible art style, which explains how Victor Freeze turns evil when he attempts to research a cure for his wife Nora's disease and is forcibly stopped.
Oh, Nora!
The disease itself isn't named McGregor syndrome until a few years later in the film Batman and Robin.
My vines have a crush on you.
No! No! God, please, no!
That
Bad credit card.
film also gives us our first clues as to the nature of the illness. When Batman and Robin inspect Nora's cryotube, you can clearly see that it has 4 stages. Later on in the movie, we see that Mr. Freeze has found the cure for the first stage, and it's some sort of weird glowing Gatorade. And that's honestly about it, because we never see Nora suffering from the disease at all. She's frozen and lifeless throughout the movie. Much like George Clooney's performance. Heyo! Shots fired. Bow, bow, bow. That's my makeshift air horn. Instead, some of our best...
Oh, that was brutal. That roasts.
clues come not from the movies or animated series, but from season 2 of Gotham, in which we see Victor Fries. Yeah, for some reason they changed his name, so now it's pronounced like French fries. Much better for hiding your identity there, Vic. Actively working on the cure for a very sick, but also very alive Nora. In these episodes, we see her cough up blood, have difficulty breathing, and generally seem to be pretty darn frail. Still, not a whole lot to go off of, but when most others would walk away, that's when I get really intense. In the direct-to-video movie Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, Freeze learns that Barbara Gordon has the exact same rare blood type as Nora. So, to save his wife, he tries to kidnap Barbara so he can perform a fatal organ transplant. And digging even deeper across the DC universe, we find that Nora isn't the only one suffering from the disease. In the CW series The Flash, Francine West reveals that she also has McGregor syndrome, and that it's common among ex-drug addicts. That's a huge clue, but I'm still not done. The biggest hint of all comes from Arrow, where William Tachman, aka the Clock King, is determined to have McGregor syndrome, which is described in the episode as
McGregor syndrome. It's a genetic defect that creates fluid buildup in the lungs, which leads to oxygen deprivation and multi-system organ failure.
So to recap, it's genetic, attacks the lungs, has 4 stages, is treated with glowing goop, can hit other organs, can potentially be solved with a transplant, and is more common among drug addicts. That's a lot of information, so maybe, through the process of elimination, we'll be able to get to the bottom of Nora's disease dilemma. And spoiler alert, it's not lupus. Don't worry, Dr. House, I checked. So let's start with the obvious solution, lung cancer. In Batman and Robin, the main conflict of the movie is that Nora is in an advanced stage of McGregor syndrome. Whereas later on in the movie, we learn that everyone's favorite butler, Alfred, except you, Mr. Beauregard, you're the best, has just been diagnosed with stage 1. Now, as many people know, cancer progresses in 4 stages. From the first, where the cancer is small and contained only in the location of the tumor, to stage 4, in which the cancer is spread to many tissues in the body, making it much more likely to be fatal.
And thus, when you reach stage 3, you have to be prepared for stage 4. Yeah.
Combine this fact with the blood that Nora coughs up, and it's not too hard to make a strong case for lung cancer. But that is where the similarities stop. Riddle me this, theorists. Why would the cure be a liquid that Wait, that's just a reference to the radiation used during chemotherapy.
Okay.
Then what about the organ transplant from Sub-Zero? I guess that would just be her getting a new lung to replace the one that's too damaged from the cancer. Darn, this is looking a lot more open and shut than I expected. What about that obscure moment from The Flash? Cancer isn't more likely to be an ex-drug addict, so... Wrong, actually, since lung cancer is more likely in drug addicts.
Okay, so, video end, I guess. That's... okay, what? Really?
Former drug addicts are statistically more likely to be addicted to cigarettes. Between 80 and 95% of alcoholics are found to smoke cigarettes, and a study found that those undergoing treatment for heroin addiction smoke cigarettes a staggering 97% of the time. And yeah, even Alfred too. Early portrayals of the character showed him smoking a pipe, so him being in stage 1 actually makes a lot of sense. You know, come to think of it, that stuff from Arrow fits too. Genetics, multi-organ failure, lungs filled with liquid, all of it comes with advanced stages of lung cancer. You know, come to think of it, we can also rule out other deadly lung diseases like pertussis and tuberculosis because they're highly contagious. When Batman and Robin learn that Alfred has McGregor syndrome, they don't exactly put him into quarantine or start wearing surgical masks.
Okay, something that we have gotten very used to for the past 1 year, 2 years. Yeah, quarantined, lockdown, stay at home, wear a mask.
They're still in full contact with him the whole time, just as Victor's in contact with Nora throughout the Gotham episodes. Speaking of those Gotham episodes, by the way, when Victor comes home to find Nora coughing up blood, he keeps asking about a medication called formoterol, later freezing a drugstore to harvest the entire supply of the drug. Now, formoterol doesn't exist, but there is a suspiciously similar sounding drug on the market called formoterol. Formoterol is a long-acting bronchodilator that clears a person's airway and makes it easier for them to breathe. So, I guess it's lung cancer? I expected it to be a bit tougher than that. I mean, I guess you could say that lung cancer isn't rare, but there are plenty of weird, unique strains of cancer out there, so damn. I thought we would pull some really obscure, rare lung thing. I had to
Also, what MacPat mentioned is that yes, there's multiple different type of cancers involved, and some cancers can kill you fast, some cancer can kill you slow. Some cancer, when you contracted it, will kill you like within the next 7 years, next 14 years, next 20 years. And if you contract a cancer that will kill you in the next 100 years, you'll most likely die of other reasons. Yeah.
this whole episode planned, eliminating things one at a time, building to the big final twist, but not really used to this. My 7-paragraph structure is just thrown out the window. I don't know, I guess I could just end the episode now? But hey, what's
Well, that's anti-climactic.
interesting about Mr. Freeze's situation isn't the disease itself, it's the cure. You see this woman, Nora Freeze, tube girl? Yeah, her. Mr. Freeze froze her to stall for time until he discovered a cure, except here's the thing. This girl right here in the tube, she's already cured.
What?
That person that you're seeing suspended in this tube right
Wait,
now,
what?
in that present moment, she is cancer-free. McGregor syndrome free. No joke. Mr. Freeze has cured her.
Wow! Wait, what? The main purpose of him becoming a villain is because he wanted to save his wife. And if his wife is saved, why does he continue to become a villain?
And here's how. It's a treatment called cryosurgery, and it literally means curing cancer by freezing the cancer cells directly. Specialized surgeons use super targeted cold rays in a cryoprobe. Just think Mr. Freeze's cold ray just micro-sized and freeze the cancer cells to death. I mean, think about it. Cancer is just a bunch of out-of-control cells, and freezing them does basically the same thing that it does to that bunch of lettuce that accidentally got frozen in your fridge. When it thaws, it's limp and dead because all the cells have broken down. The same thing happens to the cells in your body after they've been frozen with liquid nitrogen. So, Mr. Freeze, in deep chilling Nora, has actually killed all the cancer cells in her body. She's officially cured. Huzzah! Except there's a catch. Of course. Doctors performing cryosurgery target the cells they're looking to kill with these icy cold blasts by using very tiny cryoprobes. Mr. Freeze just encased Nora in ice. Like her whole body. According to those episodes of Gotham, Mr. Waffle Fries is using liquid helium to freeze his wife, and liquid helium is like the coldest of cold substances that humanity can create, at a temperature of minus 452 degrees Fahrenheit. For comparison, the liquid nitrogen doctors use a balmy negative 320 degrees Fahrenheit.
So, not sure if you recognize, right? Both are very cold, but one is significantly more colder than others.
A full 130 degrees hotter, if you can consider hotter and colder when you're talking about negative hundreds of degrees. So yeah, he not only killed all the cancer cells, he also killed all Nora cells in the process. And if you think curing cancer is hard, curing I just made my wife into a human fudgesicle is way harder. When asked about it, biology professor Michael Hendricks at McGill University stated that the technology required to bring someone back from a completely frozen state, quote, does not yet exist even in principle. It's also something we've covered here on Game Theory. You can't just freeze people and bring them back to life. So the worst part here is that Mr. Freeze had the cure, or at least a pretty solid treatment, the entire
Cryosurgery.
time. If he had been a bit more precise with that freezing gun of his, he could have helped treat Nora's lung cancer himself. But his hasty solution has actually doomed his wife to death. Man, irony is cold. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And before I wrap things up, one final big thank you to Bill and Melinda Gates for not only asking me to once again join their campaign for spreading awareness of global health issues, but for the good work that they're doing in the world through things like their annual letter. It'd be easy to sit on your throne of $84 billion and just, I don't know, do whatever things super rich people do. Live in a gold-plated house or...
Actually, we should before 2020 hits, we really need to listen to his advice. His advice of making the world more ready for such global pandemics, such global health issues.
Or fly in your gold-plated plane, or whatever else you might want to gold plate, since that's what I assume rich people do all the time. But actually going out and doing something positive for the world is just awesome. So before you leave this video to watch whatever Let's Play is on next, or fail clip compilation that may be waiting in your playlist, do the world a favor by clicking the link in the description to read the Gates annual letter. If nothing else, it'll get you to think about the challenges people in less fortunate parts of the world have to live through. So educate yourself and be a force for good by clicking that link. Because if I can get really real here for a second, true success in life isn't defined by how much you earn, but rather by how you leave the world a slightly better place than when you first enter it. Thanks guys, and I'll see you all next week.
Thanks so much. Let me just repeat that one last time again. I really agree with what Mapat said.
If I can get really real here for a second, true success in life isn't defined by how much you earn,
by how much you earned,
but rather by how you leave the world a slightly better place than when
a slightly better place
you first enter it. Thanks guys, and I'll see you all next week.
Thank you everyone, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's really motivating, very encouraging and inspiring. Thank you so much, my pet. Thank you so much for such videos. And well, if you do like this video, please remember to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you're feeling sure about. Don't forget to follow my channel, and sincerely appreciate all of your support and encouragement for my work. Thank you all so much, and I hope to see you in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory. Okay, there's a film theory, so one more time. But hey, that's just a theory, a film theory, and cut. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.